It doesn't matter where you're from, whether it's the USA, Europe, Asia, or Australia, you cannot escape this avalanche. It has intruded into every corner of the globe. It's engulfed this planet and wreaked havoc upon men, women, and children alike. It has torn apart husbands, wives, mothers, and fathers from their precious children, and grandparents from their grandchildren. It's the curse of our time, the dreaded disease, cancer. And I know it has affected your life and your loved ones. And I guess you're not satisfied with the answers that you've been given. Maybe you can't shake the question, what if there is a better way? What if we do not have to suffer? What if people are tragically dying without having access to what truly works? What if there are more effective treatments and preventions that will make cancer a disease of the past? Welcome to The Truth About Cancer, a global quest. If these are questions you've been asking, you're about to see some things that will shock you. This is going to be an epic journey of a lifetime, traveling to the corners of the globe in search of the answers, the true cures for cancer. I'm going to introduce you to over 100 experts spread across the globe in over 20 countries who have stood up against the lies that have been perpetrated and are teaming together to give you the answers. These doctors, scientists, researchers, and cancer survivors are breaking their code of silence to reveal to you insights and solutions that you likely have never heard of, bringing you the reality that you do not have to fear cancer, and you can prevent and even beat it without harming your body.
To define disease as a marketplace and build what has now become the largest investment industry upon that simple thought. The tremendous profits, the inability to eliminate diseases, the propaganda war from that side that they are actually making progress in any disease, all of that comes from the fact that it's a business model, an investment industry that thrives on the continuation of existing diseases and the launching of new diseases. One trick that they use, they produce patented synthetic drugs from which they know that sooner or later they cause new diseases by the mere side effects.
It's against law in California for oncologists to recommend integrative medicine. They cannot tell you go do integrative medicine.
We should be awarded, we should be set up the example. We are saving the lives of people who are sentenced to die. No, we are mercilessly harassed by lawyers, by people who know nothing about treatment.
I just remember him sitting in front of this huge filing cabinet. And the person that was interviewing, he said, just pick files. And he just started opening these drawers of all these files of patients, all this evidence.
Oh, okay.
All this evidence, right? So I'm going, wow, how is this possible? There's evidence.
I'm living proof, and thousands of women around the globe and hundreds of thousands of people who've healed cancer in general. We know there is a cure. The cure lies in our food, in detoxifying our body properly, balancing our energy, in dealing with our stress and our emotional wounds, making sure that we don't have dental toxicities, using food and plants to repair our body, and then staying on top of everything, making sure that you can prevent cancer in the future. Because traditional medicine will use certain markers, but they're very, very gross and very ineffective markers. But there are markers like the PHI enzyme or the cancer profile or the oncoblot test that can determine cancer when it's only a few million cells in the body instead of a tumor, because it takes 5 to 8 years for a tumor to develop. Thermography is also a great tool to be able to access the physiological changes that's going on in the body. So yes, there is a cure, and yes, you can prevent it.
We're going to end the war on cancer, so we're going to get everybody involved. We're going to get them to run for it. We're going to get them to jump for it. We're going to get them to pray for it. We're going to get them to beg for it.
Cancer is a failure of the body's own cells to communicate with each other properly. It is not something that has invaded you from the outside, so you cannot look at cancer with the paradigm of carpet bombing your body, declaring war on an invader. It's not an invader. It's something internally that is not communicating correctly at a cellular level.
We go around and celebrate wearing pink socks and pink ribbons and buying pink lemonade on an airline to contribute to cancer. It sure does. It's ridiculous. You know, I coach youth sports. I won't wear pink. I won't put pink on. I don't believe in that. Why? Because the pharmaceutical intervention, conventional methods are not saving lives.
With all the money that we're pouring into Relay for Life and the Coleman, really, though, it hasn't helped change things for the patients.
And so you saw that firsthand as an oncology nurse for 17 years.
I did.
Frankincense oil, if you look at the research today, it is probably the most powerful essential oil, if not the most powerful supplement, period, when it comes to natural cancer treatment, in my opinion.
What's in frankincense that makes it so good?
It's highly anti-inflammatory. It's also a very powerful antioxidant. And there are studies, actually there's a study that came out of the UK pretty recently showing that frankincense oil is effective at shrinking tumors, it's effective against ovarian cancer, colon cancer, and breast cancer.
And the more I study a Thai, the simpler it becomes. God was great. He made it a simple plan. Just follow the plan, It's not complicated.
The trouble with chemotherapy and conventional treatments is they have no effect on the cancer stem cell. They only kill the daughter cells, the cells that are produced by it. So the tumor will shrink and they'll claim success, but you haven't killed the stem cell, so it all just comes right back. And what they found is when it comes back infinitely more aggressive than it did before.
If you shrink some of the cells of a tumor, you still have the cancer tumor stem cells that just regrow that same tumor. And then at the same time, you've poisoned healthy cells in the body.
That's bringing that life right into your body and all those antioxidants that are binding up toxins and carrying them out of the body. And when we're sick with cancer, it's even more important to do these kinds of things to heal the body.
We have close to 100,000 references from scientific journals that tell us about diet, vitamins, minerals, botanicals, natural energies, and so forth, and their influence on health. So, Ty, don't let anybody ever tell you that this isn't scientific.
Governments out there don't want people to know about supplements, and they treat them much as they would want to treat medicines, and basically as soon as you have a supplement, especially in Europe, that has a therapeutic effect, it's automatically illegal. Because by definition, under the medicinal code of Europe that was evolved in 1965 to protect people from thalidomide, it basically said any substance that has a pharmacological effect should be termed a medicine.
We are all participants in a mass experiment. Pretty much unless you've been living in a cave somewhere or growing all your own food, you have consumed some GMOs at some point. I mean, they're only in 5 major food crops, but those food crops are so widespread. We're talking corn, soy, canola, sugar beets, and then of course cotton, which ends up in cottonseed oil. Right. But all of our restaurants virtually contain genetically modified organisms in their ingredient supply. So unless you never eat out of restaurants, you're probably being exposed to them.
Are you absorbing them? Okay, lots of us have gut compromise. Okay, our gut is not good because there's loaded with chemicals. Our food, the GMOs, all of our food is laden with toxicity. We're eating dead food and we want to be alive. How's that possible? It's not possible.
Just today I've seen patients from Ukraine, Lithuania, Russia, Latvia, of course.
So patients today, more than from 40 countries are coming to Riga to get this treatment and to be cured from their cancers.
We don't even really know what's in some of the food we're eating.
It's like literally physically impossible to know, by design. I didn't realize how nefarious the food industry was until I read Marion Nestle's book, which will be out in October 2015, called Soda Politics. And they are every bit as evil as the drug company with respect to their political lobbying, the revolving door between industry and the federal regulatory processors. So they've got the whole system is stacked against you. The good news is that you can easily avoid it by eating real food. You don't have to worry about it. They're counting on the fact that you're not, that you're going to be what most of the typical American who has 95% of his calories, 95% of his calories is processed food.
Wow.
95%.
B6 improves or stimulates serotonin in the body, which is that feel-good neurotransmitter. But there's all these studies recently showing that high blood levels of B6 are powerfully anti-cancer. So you can reduce your risk of cancer by up to 49% by eating a vitamin B6 rich diet.
A healthy human body is self-regulating and self-repairing. It will protect itself from infections. It will slow down the aging process. If it finds any cancer, it will eliminate them.
Well, a new study came out that showed for the first time that cancer doesn't only just feed off of sugar, but that sugar can induce a cancerous phenotype in cells, which means it basically changed it from a cell that just likes glucose to one that exhibits invasive activity, where it's basically now becoming an independent cell that wants to go out and invade other tissue. Sugar is a cancer risk, much like smoking is. It's not just that it feeds cancer, it's that it can actually cause cancer.
Photodynamic therapy will also wake up the sensitizer and allow it to activate itself within cancer cells, and that forms oxygen radicals, O-. And O-, as you know, are toxic to cancer cells, and they set off the apoptosis or programmed cell death. In addition to that, it provides a local inflammatory response, so thereby the immune system can come and target that area.
Wow.
Vaccines are not safe, they're not effective, they don't do what they're supposed to be doing. They're not responsible for the major declines in infectious or contagious diseases in the West. That was done by revolutionizing society, better sanitation, better nutrition, less overcrowding, development of the middle class, etc., etc.
Within a few days, they had to do chemo. Otherwise, the doctors would tell them they're gonna die or it's gonna spread everywhere. Do your research, it's no rush. You didn't get cancer overnight. Cancer is a process of 10 years, 12 years.
So each area is associated with an organ and also with an emotion. So oftentimes the patient doesn't know what's really running their life and potentially even running their health in regards to their crises that they're experiencing. The program is equipped to send specific frequencies to unlock those emotional stagnation. So it's pretty amazing. So each time we do a recording, we do about 5 recordings, that we can actually see the unlocking of those emotions. Eventually we get to the root cause, which is really pretty amazing for the patient, because oftentimes they'll have an aha moment. You know, they'll be potentially experiencing a lot of depression. And really what we're looking at as we go deeper and deeper, the depression is based potentially on unworthiness or repetitive thinking.
Cancer, as you know and everyone watching probably knows, thrives in a non-oxygen based environment or an anaerobic environment. So when you take this cordyceps, studies have shown that it ups your body's oxygen, internal oxygen, by 40%, ATP by 28%, and then it also increases your natural killer cell activity by 400%, and that was in people that had cancer.
If you don't have a lot of money or you do have a lot of money, everybody can do that. So garlic actually has some anti-tumor activity, but it actually stimulates the excretion of a lot of toxic chemicals. All the sulforaphanes, right, are chemicals in the cabbage family that not only interrupt the development, progression, and metastasis, traveling of cancer cells. The sulforaphanes interrupt every stage of cancer, so they're very powerful, but they also promote detoxification, particularly of hormones.
These oils not only help with cancer, but the side effects. And that's so critical, because as you've traveled the world, Ty, you talk to people that are cancer survivors and people struggling with cancer, it's really the side effects that get them. And oftentimes it's not the cancer that kills them, it's a common cold or a flu or you name it, right? Because it compromises the immune system.
A devastated body.
And that's what the essential oils do when it comes to sleeplessness, nausea.
No disease can exist inside of a clean body.
She treated 2,200 people only with diet, and they were cancer patients, and almost all of them were cured. Of course, I wouldn't believe that just by listening to her. So I went personally to different ones and I interviewed them to make sure that what she was saying was true, and it was. And this was my aha moment.
Over in Europe, and their version of the FDA came into their lab and took all their product, all their medicine, and took all their lab equipment and seized all their bank accounts and virtually shut them down. They were helping thousands of patients reboot their immune system. They were helping kids with autism. They were an answer to cancer.
Look at this world. We can get on every corner, also in Amsterdam here, unhealthy food. Right. If you want healthy food, you have to search for it.
Business model, it's not a treatment. The intention is to give the impression that something goes away, and it may go away for a few months. But the real mass mega death in the field of cancer patients is happening after 6 months or 9 months, when this initial effect of doing away with the tumor breaks down and the cancer comes back massively, even more than before, because now the immune system is dead, and no one talks about that.
But that's the strategy, is to eat as healthy as you can.
I think that's a great takeaway from this interview. Eat real food.
Eat real food.
I love it.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. Dr. Mercola, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Our study shows that the underlying cause of majority of chronic diseases that develop over years or even decades, is the long-term deficiency of micronutrients, vitamins, trace elements, some amino acids, or other active components which cause dysfunction, cellular dysfunction, that with time turns into a diseased organ and in disease.
Mostly here in Europe, more than 10,000 patients who are using the Synergy program, and some of them have survived the predicted death now for 15 years. We have X-ray documentation of many of them, etc.
Trust me, if you're sick, it's not because you're pharmaceutically disadvantaged. But what we've now learned already through epigenetics is that we can actually, move our diet to a profoundly elevated nutritional plane enough to actually override our genetic propensity, and through epigenetics realign in a healthy fashion those genetic propensities and start over. You're not just, inevitably programmed for whatever grandma, mom had or whatever.
But they also work on preventative and protective pathways. So some of these ingredients like curcumin will increase genetic expression of what we want to turn cancer cells off. So we're not just talking about suppression of cancer growth. We're looking at turning on your own immune system, the inherent ability for the body to heal itself, which is there. Western medicine, we have only just to turn off. And that's why when we give some of these agents, they're very good at doing what they're doing. They're turning off certain cells, like cancer cells. But the side effect is they also turn off a lot of normal cells, right? And through that process, there's also damage that some of those cells then can become more resistant to chemotherapy over time, and they can also genetically change where they start creating more cancer or secondary cancers or other chronic conditions down the line.
Every day. Every day. Every day I feel that burden. But you can't walk away, because nobody in the world knows what we know. And to walk away from that would be walking away from your Creator.
So not only are they growing, but they're failing to die. And so a better solution is over here. And there are so many botanicals and phytochemicals that turn that apoptotic switch back on. So that's really powerful. Resveratrol, curcumin, ECGC in green tea. These are examples of common phytochemicals used in cancer that do that.
Started with Mayo Clinic, had 13 doctors at Mayo Clinic, and they gave me the same forecast of 3 days to 3 months. Then went up to the University of Minnesota, and then to Fairview Hospital and Masonic Cancer Center. I received a death sentence from 17 doctors, and the 18th one was down here, Dr. Gutierrez, and it was no big deal to him. It was bad, yes, but nothing special.
But it's hard to have hope when you're indoctrinated into this world and your belief system is cancer equals death, or cancer equals chemo and radiation.
Just had no chance of living afterwards. But here it's been 8.5 years later, and they've not had cancer for 8 years and 3 months. They have not found it. Mayo Clinic couldn't find it. They haven't found it here. There's no cancer that's visible anymore.
Because I watched my mother die, and my grandmother died, both from these cancers, and I knew that I wasn't going to leave my son without a mom. And so I just looked death in the eye and I said no.
I don't know anyone that has had pancreatic cancer that has treated it conventionally that's still alive.
I don't either.
And you were alive 40 years later.
Yes,
That's
I know,
amazing.
I know, it is, truly. And to have those symptoms, you know, like I said, the pain, and to know that it was just so deadly.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're doing this, because I always wanted the clinic to do more publicity.
Yeah. If you don't want to miss the opportunity to come on this journey across the globe with us in this free 9-day docuseries, make sure you enter your name and email on this page so we can send you the details when it opens live to the world beginning October 13th. I look forward to seeing you there.